Indonesia's Statistical Bureau Agency released data about Indonesia's economic growth in the first quarter in 2019. The growth, as I mentioned before, in the level of 5.07% is still below expectation of consensus that predict Indonesia's economy growth in quarter one can achieve 5.91%. Historically, how about the data of Indonesia's economic growth in some quarters in the past few years? We're going to see the data. This is Indonesia's economic growth quarterly. In quarter one 2016, the growth reached 4.92%, and quarter four 2016 reached 4.94%. In quarter three 2017, the growth of Indonesia's economic had reached 5.06%, and the second quarter in 2019 had reached 5.27%, and the earliest in quarter one in 2019, the economic growth of Indonesia had reached 5.07%. Indonesia's economic growth in the first quarter is the highest growth compared to the same period in the last 3 years. Statistics Center Agency also mentioned that there was an economic slowdown in the middle of Indonesia's economic relationship with some countries that luckily growing positively. Indonesia's Statistical Agency also highlighted global economic growth in the same period that shows a slowdown compared to quarter four in 2018. There are 5 sectors as the main contributors of Indonesia's economic growth in the first quarter this year. We're going to see the data. The first one, of course, the consumption or domestic consumption, and then we've got mining and everything. We've got the data as it is shown in your screen. Structure of Indonesia's GDP in quarter one 2019, around 20% coming from the industrial sector. This sector gives the biggest contribution compared to the 15 other sectors. But then, in the beginning of the year, the rate of the growth of industrial sector was only 3.8%, or included as the lowest after agriculture and mining sector. So how about Indonesia's GDP structure based on consumption? We're going to check the data as you can see in your screen. The first one is, of course, household consumption that reached 56.82%. So this is the highest contributors to the GDP in the first quarter of 2019. The second one is the formation of brutal fixed capital, the exported goods and services, government's consumption, inventory, consumption, expenditure of non-profit institutions that serve household, and imported goods and services had reached minus 20%. Indonesia's economic growth is still dominated by the component of household consumption, which covers more than a half of Indonesia's GDP, which is at 56.82%. Meanwhile, the import components of goods and services becoming a reducer factors in GDP with a role of 18.74%. So if compared the other countries in ASEAN region, Indonesia have the highest GDP growth, and we're going to see the data. We're going to check the data, of course. This is the 5 countries in ASEAN with the biggest growth. The first one, of course, Indonesia, with a growth reaching $1 trillion. And then after Indonesia, we've got Thailand with a growth of $455.7 billion. Singapore, $324 billion. Indonesia is a country with the biggest economy in Southeast Asia. According to ASEAN Secretariat data, Indonesia's GDP growth in 2017 reached $1.01 trillion. Such value is also equal with 37 economic growth of 10 ASEAN countries that achieved $2.77 trillion. Then how about the comparison between Indonesia's economic growth compared to poverty numbers and unemployment numbers? We're going to check the data. This is the comparison between economic growth and 2 other indicators, that is unemployment and poverty indexes. And the yellow one, this is the economic growth. As you can see, year by year, the number is showing the uptrend condition, and then the unemployment index, the red one, as you can see in 2014, the index was reached 5.94% and 6.18% in 2015. In 2016, the index was on the 5.61%. And 2017, the index of unemployment had reached 5.5%. and 2018 the index was reached 5.34%. Indonesia's economic of the 2015 to 2018 that grow around 5% is able to push down the numbers of unemployment rate, poverty or inequality rate. In 2018, the domestic economy was successfully grew by 5.17%. The development of infrastructure that was accelerated by the government to improve connectivity was giving significant impact on economic activities. This achievement also followed by some social assistance programs that minimizing the gap between the rich and the poor. And stay with us because market headlines will be right back after this quick break.